on the life that remains. You have been living as though you have already been promised tomorrow. I write to you not out of anger, but out of love, for I have watched you move through your days the way a sleepwalker moves through a house, touching nothing, remembering nothing, arriving nowhere. The sun rose this morning, whether you attended to it or not. It will not wait for you to be ready. Consider how you spend the hours you are given. You pour them out like water onto sand, and then you stand bewildered when your hands are empty. You give your mornings to worry, which has never once built a single thing. You give your afternoons to distraction, which fills the mouth but never the belly. You give your evenings to regret, which is nothing more than a man trying to walk backward along a road he has already traveled. And yet you call yourself busy. You are not busy. You are occupied, which is a very different thing. The carpenter who shapes a chair is busy. The man who paces his workshop, rearranging his tools but cutting no wood, is merely occupied. Ask yourself, honestly, which one you resemble more. You tell me you are afraid. Good. Fear is not the enemy you imagine it to be. Fear is a dog that barks at the edge of unfamiliar territory, and its barking tells you something important, that you are approaching the border of the life you have known, and that beyond it lies the life you haven't yet had the courage to live. Most people hear the barking and turn back. They return to the warmth of their small rooms and congratulate themselves on their safety. But safety is not life. A seed that refuses to break open will never become anything other than a seed. It will sit in the dark, perfectly intact, perfectly useless, until it rots. You were not made to remain intact. You were made to be broken open by growth, by effort, by the willingness to reach toward light even when the soil above you is heavy and cold. I must speak plainly to you about suffering, because you have been carrying it like a stone in your chest, and I fear you believe it makes you special. It does not. Suffering is common. It visits every household, sleeps in every bed. What is uncommon is what a person does with suffering once it arrives. The olive must be crushed to yield its oil. The grape must be pressed to become wine. This is not cruelty. It is transformation. But transformation requires your participation. You must place yourself beneath the weight willingly and say, "Let this make something of me." If you merely endure your suffering, you are the olive that has been crushed and left on the ground. If you let it reshape you, if you ask it what it has come to teach, then you are the oil that lights the lamp. The difference is not in the pain. The pain is identical. The difference is in your willingness to become. You have asked me what virtue looks like in practice, as though it were some ornament to be worn on feast days. Virtue is not an ornament. It is the grain of the wood itself. It is not something you add to your life. It is the quality of the life you are already living, revealed through every small decision you make when no one is watching. Do you speak honestly when a lie would be easier? Do you hold steady when the crowd shifts like tall grass bending under wind? Do you treat the person who can do nothing for you with the same care you offer the person who holds your future in their hands? These are not grand questions. They are the questions of Tuesday afternoon, of the quiet hallway, of the moment between what you want to do and what you know you ought to do. Virtue lives in that gap. It is tested there daily, and daily it must be chosen again. You do not become virtuous once. You become virtuous the way a blacksmith becomes skilled, by returning to the anvil every single morning, by striking the metal even when your arms ache, by trusting that repetition is not futile, but sacred. There is a particular illness I have seen in you, and I name it now so that you might recognize it. You wait for conditions to be right before you begin. You tell yourself that you will live fully once the weather of your circumstances changes, once you have more time, once you have fewer burdens, once the path is clear. But the path is never clear. The field is never perfectly ploughed before the seed must go in. The sailor who waits for still water will die in the harbour. Life does not arrange itself for your convenience, and every moment you spend waiting for permission is a moment you have handed back to the void. You do not need permission to live. You need only the willingness to begin with what you have, where you are, in the body and the situation you have been given. The sculptor does not wait for perfect marble. The sculptor takes the cracked and veined stone and finds the figure waiting inside it. I want you to understand something about time, because I believe you have misunderstood it entirely. You speak of time as though it were a currency you are spending. But time is not a currency. A currency can be saved. Time cannot be saved. It can only be used or lost. It flows like a river that runs in one direction only, and you are standing in it right now, whether you feel the current or not. Every hour that passes while you postpone your life is an hour that has joined the river behind you, gone beyond any hope of retrieval. You cannot dam this river. You cannot cup the water in your hands and carry it with you for later. You can only decide what you will do while you stand in it. Will you drink? Will you swim? Will you at least open your eyes and look at what the water is carrying past you? Do not mistake what I am saying for urgency born of panic. I am not telling you to rush. Rushing is just another form of not paying attention. I am telling you to be present, to be deliberate, to place your hands on the life in front of you, the way a potter places their hands on wet clay, with firm and patient pressure, shaping something real. There is a great difference between hurrying through your days and inhabiting them fully. The person who hurries eats without tasting. The person who is present tastes every grain of salt. So here is what I ask of you. Not tomorrow, not when you are ready, but now, in the time that remains to you, however much or little that may be. Stop bargaining with your life. Stop negotiating the terms under which you will finally begin to live with honesty, with courage, with care for the things that actually matter. The fire in the hearth does not burn forever. It does not even burn for long. But while it burns, it gives light and warmth to everyone who draws near. Let yourself burn, not recklessly, but fully. Let the people who sit beside you feel the heat of a life that is being lived on purpose. The day is already half spent. What will you do with what remains?